Good morning, everyone. I'm Lindsay Bridges from Charlotte Center for Mindfulness, and this is our Wednesday morning community drop-in group. It's lovely to see so many of you here. Good morning to Nancy and Diane, Paul, Clark, Emily, Lakshmi, Maureen, Beverly, and Gary. And Gary sometimes is actually Stephanie. So whichever one of you that is, good morning to you. And Drew, good morning to you too. Glad you are all here. So if you are participating either live now or listening to the recording later, we at Charlotte Center for Mindfulness are glad that you are practicing with us. All of these practices are freely offered, and if you would like to make a donation to help support us being able to do this, please visit our website to do that. So we will start with a guided meditation, and then I have a sharing. Afterwards, if you'd like to join in the Zoom room, we'd love to have you, and I have already posted the link in the discussion box below. I'll put it in the chat box as well when we finish. So let's begin. This morning, I would like to begin with a standing meditation. So whatever posture works best for you, really listening to the wisdom of your own body, mind, and heart, supporting yourself with this practice. And if standing is a good way to begin for you, allow yourself to find that position now. So to begin this morning standing practice, take a moment to kind of balance the body right and left, forward and backwards. So you find that alignment with gravity. Feel as if the entire body from the top of the head reaching downward through the neck and the shoulders, the arms and the torso, right down through the legs, the feet. It's as if you're growing roots from the top of the head, reaching down into the earth below. And then notice how that dropping down allows this different energy to rise up. Stretching tall, the knees are soft, and tuck the tailbone just a bit if that's useful for you. Reaching all the way through the top of the head. Offering a breath in, and a breath out. Taking a moment to bring your hands right in front of the heart, feeling that warmth of the hands, contact the chest, the heart, the hands, the breath. Really allow this to be a moment of respect, a moment of greeting and welcoming this body, mind, and heart. Whatever is going on in this moment now, really meeting yourself with the full grace of respect and hospitality, wisdom and kindness, a willingness to acknowledge this moment just as it is. And so for this practice, this is a sequence some of you have done with me before. It was originally made for children, but it's just a beautiful sequence, so I offer it to anyone. And the first pose, almost as if you were doing Spider-Man hands, you bring them to your heart. This is actually a modified Qigong movement, so whichever Qigong or Spider-Man works better for you, let that be your practice of choice. And the sound we're going to make on the exhale is a so drawing the breath in, out breath, releasing wide. Really feel that drawing in and the release. Exaggerated out breath. 2 more. And release. Drop back into the mountain. Feel this moment. For the next movement, we bring our left arm out, our right arm comes on top, and then in breath, open, out breath, close. Really strong, loud release, out breath. Last one. And release. Feel the energy in both arms. And then to the other side. Right arm out. Left hand on top. In breath, open. Out breath, release. One more. And release. Next one, stressed adult at work and release. So the in breath, tighten everything up. And out breath, let it go. In breath. Last one. Feeling that release, continuing to drop away from the body. Love the name of the next one, dolphin breath. So breathe in and release out. Really listen to the body. Big movement, small movement. It feels nourishing for you. One more. Just let it go. Butterfly breath. One more. And coming back into the mountain pose. Allow gravity to sweep through the body from the top of the head, all the way through the whole body, the head, the neck, torso, arms, legs, feet. The energy, the field of gravity, washing right out whatever needs to release down into the ground below. Then drawing that new life, new energy right up through the feet and the spine, back out through the top of the head. Finding the stillness and the strength of the mountain. Right here in the breath of life. And bringing yourself into whatever seated position most works for you. Taking a moment to really allow the body to settle into the seat, adjusting the posture, however that might be needed for you. Finding the breath. If you want, you can open your eyes and allow vision, sight. Let sight itself be a means of feeling yourself here, this body sitting right now, this room, and all the way behind you, in front of you, noticing your floor, ceiling, opening up the field to listening, whatever sounds are present, bathe across this body, mind, heart. Sight, sound, body, all allowing us to find a grounding, dropping into the breath. This breath now. So whenever the mind gets pulled back out to this or that, really make sure you meet those moments with respect as well. Kind of celebrating that moment when you wake back up. Acknowledge wherever the mind has gone and then come back. Use sight, use listening, use the body, use the breath, whatever is a useful anchor for you. This re-grounding, re-centering here now. And we're going to continue with exploring the mountain this morning. See what it's like to hear these words, beautiful mountain, and then notice whatever mountain comes to your mind's eye. Allow yourself to really see this mountain. You don't need to hunt and peck for the perfect mountain, go through your file cabinet for the just right one. It's whatever mountain comes up. Begin to settle your vision here. And really allow yourself to see the fullness of this mountain. Notice its base, part of the earth itself. Notice if it is part of a mountain range, or maybe it's one that stands all on its own. Whichever way, part of the whole of the earth, giving it its strength and its uplift. Notice what kind of life is present on your mountain. Notice that this mountain is a refuge, a home, a shelter to an abundance of life. Whether it's a high alpine meadow, a bluff tree line, or forested, the entire slopes and peak. Really take the time to see the life supported here. Now, on a warm summer day, What does the air smell like? Can you feel a mountain coolness even in the heat of summer? What does the gentle breeze feel like, sound like moving across the mountain? Once you have a clear picture of this mountain, allow yourself to become the mountain. The lower body, this mountain base, part of the earth itself. The upper body naturally lifting skyward, reaching up out of this base, this grounded foundation of earth. That warm summer day, feel the warmth of the sun on the mountain sides, the coolness of the air, the feeling of the breeze washing across your mountain sides. Feel you supporting the life that lives here. As so often happens, the warmth of the summer day can give way to a thickening gathering of clouds, darkening of the sky. Strong black clouds might roll in, totally occluding the sun, filling the sky. Winds pick up and begin to whip around. Great gusts till it all breaks open with a fury. Lightning, thunder, lashing rains. And no matter the intensity of this summer thunderstorm, notice how you are a mountain. No matter the intensity on the surface, down in the depths of the mountain is a calm, abiding, breathing, living, grounding essence, untouched by any summer thunderstorm. Storms come, storms go. This one passes off. Night falls. Different feeling, being bathed by the moonlight and stars, and quiet. Change always happening. Night becomes morning and day, which becomes night again. As these days move on, the nights become longer, the days become shorter. What was warm with the heat of summer becomes cool. What was alive and green begins to fade. So maybe there's a full glory of fall colors. Notice the fall, what fall looks like on your mountain. Maybe there are bronzes and golds and yellows. Maybe it's a different color scheme. Just notice for you. And this too changes. These colors lose their vibrancy. Then one day, maybe a new blanket of white, a different kind of quiet. What was flowing in water freezes, becomes ice and snow. A sense of sleeping life. And of course, with winter comes even more ferocious storms, Arctic cold blasts, change on the surface always happening, part of a mountain. And underneath, no matter the weather, the coming and going of the seasons, the storms, the calms, all of it, the mountain grounded strength, part of the whole of the earth, breathing, living essence, calm, abiding. No matter how frozen, how cold the winter may be, it doesn't last forever. Inevitably begins to shift and fall. What was ice and snow begins to melt to water and flow again. Maybe even the earliest green shoots come up even as the last snow hasn't yet melted away. This urge, faithfulness to new life happening again. Faintest of green haze at the earliest of spring. Gives forth to an abundancy, the full vitality and energy, the fullness of spring. Even with the energy, the new life, the vitality, the growth, the awakening, even here, under the surface, this calm mountain strength, deep abiding. Spring gives way to the heat of summer, which naturally flows into the coolness of fall and the icy cold of winter, which thaws once again into spring. Seasons come, seasons go. Change always happening on the surface of this mountain. And no matter the level of the change, there's this abiding mountain strength and essence. Deep, strong, breathing, calm, abiding. Right at the heart of the mountain. Exploring this mountain essence of your own being. What's the weather like right now on the surface? What's it like to acknowledge this passing weather, no matter how intense it may be in any given moment, knowing that it too comes and goes, being able to explore deep down into the strength and the groundedness of the mountain, your body, connected right with the whole of the earth, living, breathing part of the earth itself. Knowing that the seasons are always changing bit by bit. Is there a naming of this season right now, this mountain? And acknowledging seasons come, seasons go. So, meeting whatever this season is, also deep respect. What is it like, even as if a season or time or weather is challenging, to still meet it with respect? This too is part of this life, this mountain, a valid part of the experience of being whole. And coming back to the breath, this breath now. Nice to be with you all. It's kind of sweet to see that we've had more people join. Good morning to Emily and Mike and Nancy and George. Glad that y'all are here. If you would like to take a moment to offer a gratitude for this morning, feel free to add that into the chat box. I'm going to add one right now myself. Oops. So Drew said, grateful for this beautiful morning. And where I'm sitting, I can really hear the sound of the birds. I don't know if that's coming through or not. It's really kind of sweet. And Maureen, grateful for friends. Alan, welcome. Glad that you're here for this hour of calm, an anchor in the week. I'm so glad. Gary, grateful for this practice. Bill, grateful for Earth Day. Don't know if you noticed, I did Mountain for Earth Day. Emily, grateful for this new day. And Lakshmi, a beautiful hour. So if I haven't seen yours yet, Clark, grateful for another beautiful day, the chorus of birds, and our good health. And Diane, I'm so happy to see the wonderful morning. That exercise felt great. If you're noticing that movement is helpful for you in your practice, do it. I'm now starting all of my personal meditations with some basic yoga stretches because it just feels good. Beverly, grateful for this practice with everyone this morning. And George, grateful for friends and this life. Thank you. So if you still want to add, feel free, and we will enjoy them as they come. So I have a sharing for this morning. I want to start with a poem from Rumi, one of my favorites. The one's called Birdwings. Your grief for what you've lost lifts a marrow up to where you're bravely working. Expecting the worst, you look, and instead here's the joyful face you've been wanting to see. Your hand opens and closes and opens and closes. If it were always a fist or always stretched open, you would be paralyzed. Your deepest presence is in every small contracting and expanding, the two as beautifully balanced and coordinated as bird wings. Being able to really notice this rhythm of life, this opening and closing, is very useful. The muscles of the heart contract and relax. The breath flows in and out. Waves roll in and out. The tide rolls in and out. The moon waxes and wanes. The seasons come and go. All of these openings and closings are such a natural part of life and of the world that it really shouldn't be a surprise to us that our personal journeys are full of the same rhythm too. I have to say, I've been particularly aware of my own opening and closing over the past several days. And I think it's worth sharing this as this rhythm of opening and closing can really trip us up in many ways when we forget that it's normal, that it's just a part of the rhythm of things. For example, if we find ourselves in one of those joyous, good feeling, natural flow states, then we think, what's wrong with us? When it naturally begins to ebb. We find our groove and then we expect it to become some sort of permanent space. Or if we get caught in deep in an ebb, in the closing, in the withdrawing, we can feel like it's going to last forever, that there is no coming back or out of it again. We forget that there is always a natural turning of the ebb back to flow. And by doing so, by forgetting that, we actually tend to do things that make the ebb last longer, that can keep us stuck right there. So it's really helpful to remember these ever-changing personal tides and get wiser and more skillful at being with whatever opening or closing we're in. So I had a very clear example of this for myself this past weekend. We moved Charlotte Center for Mindfulness online about 5 weeks ago. And I have to say, between navigating that move, attending to my family, learning how to make face masks, I really had plenty to engage me at home that made my days feel useful, full. I had, like everyone else, the whole range of emotions regarding our situation, but I really had a certain kind of energy that was available to meet this. This wasn't very surprising to me. This is one of my patterns. Once a crisis becomes clear to me, my tendency is to get all over it, to really dive deep into figuring out how to work with it as best as possible. Certainly, what I did with the journey of breast cancer, certainly what I've done with many other challenging situations in my life. And it's a very useful pattern to have. And what I know about this pattern is that eventually the surge of energy starts to ebb. The surge of energy that helps me meet any given situation with a lot of skillfulness, maybe on the front end, eventually has its turning to the ebbing. So, for our current situation, my energy ebb happened this weekend. It had been coming, it had been slowly kind of creeping in, but the tide clearly turned, specifically Saturday morning when I woke up. Suddenly, it felt like all of my energy was being sucked out to the ocean, out to sea. I found myself struggling to get out of bed. I found myself struggling to motivate myself to engage in any kind of healthy way with the day. Found myself struggling to even see a healthy possibility to engage with the day. I can go to either an anxious tendency or a depressive tendency. I can go either way. Saturday morning, what was rearing up in front of me was that fogged out, beached whale depressive state, which can be suffocating if goes unchecked. And I just have to say, I want to really add this in there, that it's really amazing to me after all of these years of practice how strong that voice of despair can still be, how powerful the pull of a depressive undertow or riptide can have. So these years of practice, they haven't made the ebb and the flow go away. And I want to say, how could they? This ebb and flow of energy is a natural tendency of life, a normal part of life. What the practice does instead is it gives me a way that allows me to swim back to shore more safely, more quickly. The practice allows me to let the ebb and flow be a natural part of life and not make it into a problem and not therefore quagmire myself into its being. So I thought when I was writing this, I thought of riptide instructions now posted at the beach for all swimmers. These are really useful. Number 1, don't panic. Number 2, don't fight against the current. Number 3, swim parallel to the shore until the tide loosens its grip. Number 4, then swim back to shore. These are useful instructions. When we get caught in any sort of internal riptide, that first step, not to panic, it's so helpful. So that Saturday morning, this past Saturday morning, when I recognized, oh, this is the riptide, just being able to clearly name ebb state. That helps short circuit any kind of panic, any kind of fight, any kind of giving up in the face of the strength of the current. It short circuited all of that and just let it be a moment that felt like this. Letting ourselves not panic in the moment, not fight the current or give up in it. That's when we begin to find what kind of swimming might be possible. What does swimming in that moment parallel to the shore look like? This kind of swimming parallel to the shore is full of bringing in all of the strength of mindfulness, all of the strong qualities of compassion, of patience, of non striving, of trust. Any kind of mindful skill that we can bring to mind, it almost becomes like that voice from the shore calling out instructions of safety, how to guide you back. And part of doing that is really a willingness to let the moment be as messy as it really is, while being intentional and opening up to these deeper voices, these deeper guidances, these deeper resources that are available. And we notice when we need to open up inwardly and open up outwardly. Sometimes those voices from the shore, we need them to come from the external world. And so that skillful mindfulness is opening up to whatever the support is that's needed in this moment. And most important is learning how not to make any moment into a problem. Letting the moment be just a moment that comes to us and has this possibility of teaching us our resiliency, even when things aren't the way we want them to be. When I think of this image of swimming skillfully to save yourself in a riptide, what comes to mind is that there's a kind of swimming that both finds a right energy and conserves energy in the flow of the tide while keeping a clear sight on the shore. So, really tapping into deeper voices of care and intention, helping us find that way to swim parallel to the shore until we can come back up. Knowing that this is an ebb and flow, a tide coming in, a tide going out, is also really useful. And none of this is to say that this is easy. For some of us, our wiring, our circumstances, our experiences in life make riding the ebb and the flow much more challenging than just this short description of a couple of days for me. It is, however, to say that the ebb and flow is normal and that it is our birthright to have the possibility of learning to ride this rhythm with more ease, with more wise care, and more skillfulness. So, if you were to pause right now, what do you know about your own ebb and flow? What do you know about your habits? There is the ebb and flow, and then there is the habit tendency of what we do with it. For instance, in the ebb, is there a habit of judging it as bad, really problem making, or giving up and getting swept away? Fighting against the current, getting swept away by the current, neither of them very useful for finding how to swim with care. I love this image of swimming parallel to the shore. What might that image evoke for you that's useful when caught up in a challenging time? Swimming parallel to the shore until the tide loosens its grip. What supports do you know you either need or that you can draw on when it's really hard? So I invite you to sit with these questions, whatever way is useful for you, as we all learn to kind of navigate these openings and closings, these ebbs and flowing of life. So I'm going to put the Zoom link in here in the chat. If you have not yet joined in the Zoom room, we'd love to have you. It's been a really sweet place together. We're friendly. Please come over if that would be useful for you. And so I'm going to close us here for the live stream, and then I'll open the Zoom room in just a moment. So finding whatever posture best supports your body, offering the breath in and out, feeling into the expansion and contraction, inflating and deflating. Noticing this moment just as it is. May I have compassion and understanding for myself just as I am. May I gain in skillful wisdom of navigating the ins and outs, the openings, the closings, the ebbs and the flows that are all a normal part of life. May we all have this joy and freedom, all beings everywhere, meeting ourselves and each other with deeper, wiser compassion and care and skillfulness in this moment now. Thank you. Nice to be with you. And if you want to come join in the Zoom room, I look forward to seeing you there.